All right, and we're back with another episode of What's Up with Nick and Chuck. I'm Andy, the marketing guy from HUI, and as always, I have Nick Rolfe and Chuck Schwartz with me.
Hey, Andy, how's it going?
Hey, guys. So here at HUI, we always have a lot of different arm solutions for our carts, whether it's a monitor arm or an accessory arm. So Nick, can you guys kind of tell me what kind of monitor arm options that we have?
Thanks, Andy. Today we're going to be talking about a variety of different arm solutions, and Chuck and I over the years have spent a great deal of time with clients talking about different types of arm solutions and when to use custom solutions and when to use standard off-the-shelf solutions. And so today we've got a variety of off-the-shelf solutions that we're going to talk about. And we're not opposed to doing development work on custom arm solutions, but we really like to lean towards the standard solutions because it really, we're looking at arms that have been tested, they've been proven, and there's not a lot of R&D and development time that's tied into an arm that we have to prove out. Now, there have been occasions over the years where we have developed custom solutions specific to clients' requirements and needs, and it's something that's we're definitely capable of doing. It just adds another element to the timeline that we have to account for in the development time. Chuck, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I guess another aspect too of determining whether customers go with a standard arm or if they go with a custom arm is also investment, right? So obviously a custom arm is going to tend to be a little bit more costly, both in the development process as well as in production, because the individual components are procured separately and then going into this custom arm, whereas arm manufacturers are utilizing like components across the product family, right? Another part too that we would typically run down the development process of a custom arm is if anything is outside of a certain reach that we can't procure from our supply chain. So usually a lot of arms, and Nick has some examples in our prototype lab that have some pretty good reach. However, there are applications that customers have, such as laser emitter holders, transmitters, transponders, as well as receivers for surgical applications and video guidance systems that require a device to be further out from the cart than what our supply chain has a standard offering for. So in those applications, that's when we typically will take and go down the custom development process. Such as the example pictured, this was an arm that we developed for a customer that had to hold a receiver, and that receiver had to be a distance further out from the cart center than what we could find a standard off-the-shelf solution for. So we had to develop one.
So as Chuck was talking about, we've got a couple of arm solutions today that we're going to show you that have some really good reach, right? Like this is a example of one arm, and what's really cool about this arm is especially when it comes to the lean test, where you can set the height, right, or you can set the distance where you want to place your device. But the beauty of this arm is because there's friction elements in here. So when you press down on this, especially when it comes to that lean test where you lean on that object, it breaks away real nice. And so we like to use these types of arms for those types of applications where, again, it's near the vicinity of a patient and we have to apply that lean test to the device so that we know that it won't tip the cart over. The other cool thing is that we often hear about with our clients that, hey, we need to have good cable management, and it's really tough when it comes to arms. So we like to see from manufacturers where they come up with really creative solutions for cable management. So in this example for this arm here, there's a nice plastic insert or guide or track, whatever you want to call it, that clips onto the arm really quickly so that you can run your cables through this arm. Very efficient. What we'll take when we get this arm is we'll develop a mounting plate to mount that to the cart, and then typically the client's got some type of requirement for a bracket on the end of the arm for holding their device. So that'll be another aspect of the arm that we'll develop. But otherwise, this is a standard arm where we would incorporate that into our custom cart or a standard cart, and then do some custom modifications to make that arm fit and mount the device.
Yeah, so that example that Nick actually had right there is a good example of a standard arm that we can source from our supply chain that has a specific range of motion that would fit that customer's application. Now there's other applications for devices that our customers manufacture that require a little bit more adjustment in those. So maybe they don't have to reach out quite as far, but that adjustment needs to be a lot more precise. And in some of those applications, our customers will take and utilize what's known as a flex arm. And Nick has an example of a flex arm there that basically shows the wide range of motion that we can put devices at the end of those arms in.
So I actually have two examples. So this is an example of one, if you can kind of see that. You can see it's already attached to the top of a cart where we just, again, do a custom mount solution. And then on the end of it, we'll work with the manufacturer to use what they already have. So I've got another example of a flex arm, but for this example, you can see that this is, again, a really long, nice, extendable arm. It's got a locking feature on it, right? So that when the operator is adjusting the arm, now this arm is in a locked type position. But what they did was the manufacturer has an accessory feature that gets added to this arm that has a flex arm on the end of it. So this is where when you apply that lean test, it's not going to tip the cart over. That you get that movement or that breakaway action so that it doesn't tip over. So at times you can add flex arms to other pieces of an arm or a device.
So Andy, we were doing a lot of explaining in regards to arms that are holding a device typically on our customers' custom carts, as well as utilizing some of our standard arms that we have available on the standard cart lineup from HUI. One of the applications that we actually use arms the most in is for mounting monitors to our carts. Those arms are typically going to be what's known as a Fourbar arm, and that Fourbar arm allows a range of motion specifically, but it moves in a way that keeps the monitor perpendicular to the user. We use those arms in various different applications as well as configurations. There's actually a really cool one that Nick has that we can take and show you guys that it's a single arm, but that arm is housing two monitors that will pan together and tilt individually, as well as do the height adjustability together.
So Andrew, we got another example of the arm that Chuck was just talking about. And this is the arm that he was referencing. It's made by Ergomart. And in this arm here, this arm actually, we've also done some custom work on this arm, mainly from a set screw standpoint to create tension. But the cool part about this arm is it's actually called a Poppet valve. So on the inside of this arm, there is a gas spring on the inside, but it allows fluid to pass back and forth through a valve. And so the cool part about this arm is that when you set the height of the monitors, so for example here, I'm just going to move the camera here so you guys can see this. When I set the height of this monitor, it stays in the position that I want it in. So fluid starts passing through, but it'll lock the arm in position, so it doesn't allow much sag. So like sometimes you get arm solutions that where you set the monitor heights and you want it to stay in position, but the trouble is over time they start to sag. Well, because it's a Poppet valve, there's less of a chance for that sagging to take place. What's cool about this solution is our customer needed these dual monitors to be able to go up and down, tilt and pan. So not only do they go up and down, but we've also designed it so that the two monitors will pan both sides and then tilt independently, as you can see in the image here. All by using standard component, a couple of standard components, and then some custom brackets.
Thanks a lot, Nick, for showing that example. That Fourbar arm that Nick just showed us is a good example of an arm that we utilize quite a bit. However, that's not the only arm that we use. Nick has a couple other examples there. So the example that he's holding up right now is another very popular monitor arm solution that we use. Simply because the simplicity of that arm renders it very cost effective. So you can set the height of that pivot point and it stays fixed in that location. However, it still provides a range of motion for that monitor, and it's a very cost effective solution. Now, the arm that he's holding up right now, that one, in the same sense, has a fixed location from a fixed height standpoint. However, it allows the user to take and pull that monitor out a pretty good distance away from that mounting location. And then that monitor arm can actually fold into itself to take and reduce and consolidate space. Typically, that's used. Typically, that gets used often in an application that has to be transported often. So that way the user can take and fold in that monitor into a compressed package, basically, on top of the cart and wheel it to the next room. So those were some great examples that Nick was able to show us on some of the arms that we utilize at HUI for specific applications. Now, if there's any questions that any of our viewers have in regards to arms, please feel free to let us know. We'd be happy to answer any questions, especially if you want to know at what applications work best and which solutions are probably most effective for those. So,
and just to add on that, especially when it comes to 60601, we've got experts on staff at HUI who can evaluate your situation and simulate, what an arm solution would do with your device, and how that would impact tip test and lean test, all of that.
Yeah, no, another big thing too that companies need to understand is how much weight is going to be living at the end of that arm. The amount of weight that's at the end of the arm is going to really determine which one to utilize for that application.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for being on here with me again today. That was a lot of great information. So like Chuck said, if anyone does have any specific questions for these guys, leave us a comment below the video and we'll definitely get back to you or produce some information about that for you out there. Otherwise, until next week, everybody stay safe and have a great week. Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Thanks, everybody, for watching.